Money. It's supposed to bring security, comfort, maybe even happiness. But in my case, money revealed the deepest betrayal I never imagined facing. My story doesn't begin with poverty or greed, it begins with trust, with a marriage I thought was built on love and honesty. For years, my husband and I lived what I believed was an ordinary life. We weren't poor, but we weren't lavish either. We lived in a modest home, drove reasonable cars, and budgeted like every other couple. I trusted him with our finances, believing we were working toward a shared future, retirement, maybe a vacation home someday, nothing extravagant. But then little cracks began to show. I noticed how vague he became whenever I asked about money. If I suggested looking at our accounts, he brushed it off with a laugh and a quick, "Don't worry, I've got it handled." At first, I thought nothing of it. He had always been the more financially savvy one. But over time, his secrecy grew heavier, almost suspicious. One day, while cleaning his office, I stumbled upon a locked drawer I had never noticed before. Something about it gnawed at me, but I ignored it, until the day curiosity got the better of me. When he left for work, I searched for the key. And when I finally opened that drawer, my breath caught in my throat. Stacks of documents, bank statements, offshore accounts, numbers I could barely process, hundreds of millions, money I never knew existed, $200 million, hidden in plain sight. My hands shook as I flipped through page after page. Questions thundered in my head. Where did this come from? Why didn't he tell me? Why was he living with me in lies when he was hiding a fortune? That discovery changed everything. It wasn't just about the money. It was about trust, betrayal, and a husband who was no longer the man I thought I knew. And that was only the beginning. The documents haunted me. For days, I couldn't sleep. I'd lie awake beside him, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with questions I didn't dare ask. Every time he kissed me goodnight or smiled at me across the breakfast table, all I could see were those numbers, that staggering fortune he had kept from me. Finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. One evening, I set the papers out on the kitchen table, waiting for him to come home. My hands trembled as I aligned them neatly, each page like a weapon laid out for battle. When he walked through the door, cheerful as ever, I didn't even greet him. I simply gestured to the table. His eyes froze. The color drained from his face. "Where did you get these?" he demanded, his voice sharp, almost panicked. "Where did you get them?" I shot back, my voice breaking with a mix of anger and heartbreak. $200 million, hidden from me, from us. Were you ever going to tell me? He tried to spin it, at first. Claimed it was complicated, that the money wasn't really his, that it was tied up in business deals I wouldn't understand. But his excuses only fueled my fury. "Don't you dare lie to me again," I said, tears spilling down my cheeks. "I've built my life around you, trusted you with everything, and all this time, you've been living a lie." That was when he snapped. His calm, collected mask shattered, and I saw a side of him I had never seen before. "You don't know what you're talking about," he barked, slamming his hand against the table. "This money is mine. I earned it. You wouldn't understand what it took to get here." Mine. That one word sliced through me like a blade. Not ours. Not ours to build a life together. Just his. It was in that moment I realized the truth. The money wasn't the only secret. The man I married wasn't the partner I thought he was. He had built a fortune and built a lie, and in his eyes, I wasn't a wife, I was just someone to keep in the dark while he played king of a secret empire. The argument spiraled. My voice shook with rage and grief as I demanded answers, demanded honesty, demanded something real from him. But the more I pushed, the more he retreated behind his arrogance and control. And then, like a cruel twist of fate, he admitted it. "I never planned to share it with you," he sneered. "Do you think I could trust you with this kind of money? You'd ruin everything." My knees almost gave way. It wasn't just betrayal of love, it was betrayal of dignity. He didn't see me as his equal, his partner, his wife. He saw me as someone unworthy of the truth, unworthy of the life he had hidden away. At that moment, something inside me broke. But at the same time, something new was born. A fire. A determination. If he thought he could bury me in lies, if he thought he could strip me of the future I deserved, he was wrong. Because I wasn't going to stay silent. I wasn't going to be the wife who looked away. I was going to expose him. After that night, I knew there was no going back. The man I had trusted, loved, and built my life with had revealed who he truly was. Selfish, manipulative, and incapable of seeing me as anything more than an accessory in his double life. But I wasn't going to be silent. Not anymore. I started quietly gathering everything I could. Every document, every email, every contract I could secretly copy without him noticing. Each piece was another brick in the wall I was building against him. I was terrified, yes, but I was also fueled by a sense of justice. If he thought he could rob me of my dignity and hide a fortune behind my back, he was about to learn how wrong he was. Days turned into weeks. I played the perfect wife on the outside, smiling, cooking, pretending everything was fine. But behind closed doors, I became an investigator. Late at night, when he thought I was asleep, I was digging deeper. I discovered hidden accounts, offshore transfers, and even property bought under false names. The picture became clearer and clearer. Not only had he hidden $200 million, but he had also built an empire on deception. And that's when I made my move. I took my evidence to a lawyer, someone who specialized in high-profile financial cases. The look on the lawyer's face when he saw the documents told me everything. I had enough to destroy my husband's empire and finally reveal the truth. When the legal wheels started turning, my husband sensed something was wrong. He became paranoid, constantly watching me, questioning where I was going, who I was talking to. But by then, it was too late. The trap had already been set. And then, the day came. Court orders were served. His accounts were frozen. Business partners demanded answers. The media caught wind of the story. Millionaire husband caught hiding fortune from wife. His perfect image crumbled in a matter of days. I'll never forget the look on his face the morning the first article was published. He sat at the breakfast table, staring at the newspaper in silence, his hands trembling. For once, he had no words, no excuses, no lies to hide behind. I looked at him, the man who thought he could outsmart me, diminish me, silence me, and I felt nothing but power. "You should have trusted me," I whispered. "But you chose greed over love. And now, you've lost both." In the divorce settlement that followed, the truth came out in full. Not only did I win my share of what he had hidden, but I walked away with my head held high. He, on the other hand, was left broken, his empire in ruins, his reputation destroyed, and his carefully constructed world of lies shattered. For years, I had been his loyal partner. But in the end, I became the one thing he never expected. The woman who exposed him. And as I walked out of that courthouse, free at last, the sunlight hit my face and I realized something incredible. The betrayal that once crushed me had, in truth, liberated me. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is showing the world the truth.